Hello, my name is Edwin Danso and I'm the CEO of OTA Media. OTA Media is a leadership platform operating at the intersection of policy, capital, culture and technology. And that's what brings us here today to London Tech Week 2026. We're going to hear from some of the attendees on what they think about the latest developments in AI and tech in the UK. We're also going to hear from His Royal Highness, the Prince of Wales, on his organisation, Homewards, that aims to tackle homelessness through data, analytics and preventative strategies.
Do you mind introducing yourself and why basically you're at London Tech Week this week?
Hi, I'm Sebastian. I work in software engineering for an agentic software engineering company called Cognition.ai. We were the first builders of software engineering agents. I'm a civil servant by background and I'm helping Cognition grow in the UK.
Thank you. And what brought you to London Tech Week this week? What are you trying to get out of this experience?
I came here this week to meet new people, to see what's going on and to see how Cognition can serve and help UK organisations.
Okay, thank you. So Prince William was basically talking about data and homelessness.
Yeah.
When leadership shows up at this level, what does this tell you about the way Britain's moving in the technological space?
I think AI is a real tricky one, isn't it? Because it has huge opportunity to do massive damage, but also really positive impacts on society. And it's fantastic to see leaders like Prince William taking a stand and saying, we are going to take this newest technology and we are going to use it for the biggest challenges in our society, such as homelessness. And I mean, I've been down to the Homewards stand. It's amazing what they're doing. I'd love to see if we at Cognition can help them with that.
See, that would be amazing. This is what space is about. Spaces like this is all about connecting people and finding opportunities to kind of give back. So in terms of 2027, where do you see London Tech Week shifting? What do you think we're going to be talking about next year?
That's a great question, and I think if you'd asked me before that session on homelessness, I would have had a different answer. But I'd be really interested to see which other social justice issues that London Tech Week might be interested in tackling next year. So is it food poverty in the UK? Is it policing or crime issues? Which actually we had the Deputy Prime Minister, David Lammy, speaking about just earlier yesterday. So, I mean, that's the real challenge for the organisers of Tech Week. How can they go above and beyond just homelessness, which is obviously really crucial, but to other issues in the UK?
Well, thank you so much for sharing that. It was lovely to meet you. Take care. Thank you.
Hi, so I'm here with Hazel, who is the Executive Director of Homewards for the Royal Foundation. Wonderful. Thank you so much for giving us a few moments of your time. So Hazel, I just wanted to ask you, why is Homeward at Tech Week this year?
So Homewards is the foundation of the Prince of Wales, and our objective is to demonstrate it's possible to make homelessness rare, brief and unrepeated. And one of the key tools we can use to do that is to use data, AI and technology. Because if you can predict it, you can prevent it, and data is there to help us predict it.
And so the reason that you're here is to sort of engage more with the sort of like technology and AI community. What sort of collaborations are you looking for?
So look, we've already got 25 partners that are working with us on this. We've got people that can bring data, we've got people that can bring AI tools, but we need more because we really need the whole of society to lean in to fix a societal problem. So we need people with innovation and ideas, probably not new tech. We need people to bring the tech they've got to say, we can help you join the dots, we can help you bring insights, and we can help you action them to stop people becoming homeless. So we want to shine a light on it because people don't understand it's hidden. There's 480,000 homeless people in this country. People don't know it, and we need to raise the profile amongst people like this because they can help.
Amazing. And obviously the Prince was here today. Why do you think he prioritised London Tech Week and this particular event?
So the Prince is absolutely passionate about preventing homelessness and has been for his whole life. And he always says to us, what impact are you making? And the biggest way for us to make an impact is to come to the centre of where tech and data and AI is in Europe and get those people to come and help us. So he is like, if they're going to be there, we're going to be there.
Amazing. And finally, I guess one last question, which is, based on your experiences so far and this amazing sort of like booth you've got here and engagement you've had, will you be here next year?
We sure will, because we're never going to stop until we've demonstrated it's possible.
Thank you so much, Hazel.
Thank you.
So, this next initiative was launched by our guests and the Royal Foundation in 2023. It exists to do something that many consider impossible, and it's one that I'm really proud of London Tech Week to champion today, and I hope to see real action from. We need to demonstrate that homelessness can be made rare, brief, and unrepeated, not managed, not reduced, ended. That ambition, to solve a problem rather than administer it, feels very at home in a room like this one. Tech solves problems. And the work being done is extraordinary. Please do visit the Homewards stand in the Expo area to learn more and see how you can support as the technology industry. This is your call to action. It's my great honour to welcome to the stage His Royal Highness the Prince of Wales, his panellists, and introducing Jake Humphrey to moderate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, as the panel make their way to their seats. Let me just say it's a real pleasure to be here today, to see such a lovely full room for the conversation you're about to hear. My name is Jake Humphrey. I am the host and founder of High Performance, a podcast that's been using tech for the last few years to try and change the minds of millions of people around the world. From that podcast, we've created the High Performance Foundation, and I'm really delighted to say that we are working in conjunction with others to try and get those messages into the hands of the young people that need to hear them the most. Welcome along to a conversation. I guess it's not a traditional conversation that you would tend to hear at London Tech Week, but it's an incredibly important one. It's a real pleasure of mine to say that we're joined today by His Royal Highness Prince William, who 3 years ago launched Homewards, which is a programme working right across the UK to make homelessness rare, brief and unrepeated. And today is a significant day in his mission because it marks the launch of the Homelessness Data Lab, made up of over 25 organisations exploring how data and technology can help prevent homelessness earlier, work better for frontline services and ultimately support people at the right time. We've got an amazing panel lined up for you. We'll hear from them all in just a moment, but first I'd like you to pay attention to this short video.
Before someone experiences homelessness, there are often warning signs. A bill that falls behind, a missed council tax payment, a phone cut off, a child missing school, a search for help online. This data is captured by different organisations weeks or months before crisis point. But what if we could spot the warning signs early and offer support when it's needed most? This means the lights stay on, children remain in school, lives aren't disrupted. Today in the UK, over 430,000 people are experiencing homelessness. Half are children. We believe homelessness is predictable and preventable. By working together, we can help people stay in their homes. Let's stop homelessness before it starts.
Absolutely. Let me come to you first. Please explain to us why you think it's so important that at London Tech Week of all places, we're sitting here having a conversation about homelessness.
Thank you, Jake, and good morning, everyone. I think that that video sums up pretty much everything I was going to say. But I think, as you pointed out at the beginning, this is an unusual conversation at London Tech Week. I'm not sure how many of you here have been exposed to homelessness at London Tech Week before or in any of your tech conferences you've been to. So the very fact we're sat here talking about homelessness at London Tech Week, I think, is a really good thing. I started Homewards 3 years ago now. It's a 5-year project, and we're getting towards the meaty end of what we're trying to achieve. And it's about building a model that shows that homelessness is preventable and that it isn't inevitable, as a lot of people have believed in the past. And the sector has been battling homelessness and managing it for many, many years. And Linda and others can speak about their experiences better than I can. And I think Homewards has come along at a time when the sector needed more hope and belief and a fresh pair of eyes and thinking as to how can we actually prevent homelessness rather than manage the problem. And so many people interact with data on a day-to-day basis. So many of your customers, your clients, will be using data through banking apps, through their phones, that I'm not sure you realize how much that data can be used to predict and see problems with potential homelessness before they actually arise. And that's why I think today is so important that we get that conversation started.
Excellent. Linda, let me come to you. Through Bloomberg Associates, you're doing a lot of work. I mean, I made the mistake of asking what you're doing the next few days, and it's like a different city, a different mayor over the next few days, which is not unusual for you because you're in the cities, working with the decision makers in those cities. So what have you seen that you believe we need to understand about homelessness in big cities where it can really help to drive change?
The really good news is that there's a growing body of evidence that homeless prevention can work. And we're learning from programs around the world that if you are able to identify the vulnerable households when they're in a point of crisis, that short-term interventions can be really successful at avoiding that crisis and preventing the trauma of homelessness. And the information about those incidences are actually already in government's hands, but the problem is there isn't a city in the world that doesn't have the problem of having the data is scattered across multiple agencies. It's in the government agency, it's in the nonprofit partner, and nobody who's working with the families actually has the whole view of everything. And so they're not able to see when those multiple risk factors start piling up in a single household. So what we are trying to do is to integrate the information across agencies so that we can first look and see what are those predictive pathways that result in homelessness, because it is, for all of the need that exists in vulnerable households and poverty, most people actually navigate those crises and don't become homeless. So the question is, what are the patterns that cause a family to become homeless, and how can we flag that in advance? And so the challenge we have is to bring the technology to bear and so that we can spot the crisis before it happens. And so I was recently in LA visiting a program where they're using this kind of predictive analytics and met a gentleman who had been the beneficiary of this kind of flagging and receiving the intervention. The way that they identified his risk is two things, like just threw up a big red flag. He had his government benefits discontinued for an administrative error, failure to show up to an appointment or something that he hadn't complied with all of the requirements. And the family court had just remanded his 2 grandchildren to his household. And so like both of these happening at the same time, that put it into a category where it was an alert, and they did an outreach to the household in order to just ask them, how are things, are you okay, do you need help? And they were able to intervene and help him to restore his benefits, get support to his kids, add some rental assistance to help the household. And so this is just one example of many that are working. And what we really need to do, the other really good news is that the technology now is a lot more sophisticated, a lot less expensive, and a lot better at protecting the security and the privacy of the data, which is really, really key if you're going to structure programs that can gain the trust of the community that they work. And so we have evidence, we have the technology, and now the challenge is to help the governments to bring these all to bear and build the type of support programs that can avert homelessness.
I don't think that sounds optimistic. Like you're saying that everything is in place, it's a case of bringing it all together. The science work that we do at NatWest, a lot of it revolves around studying the economic health of the country and predicting when there might be a moment that you at NatWest need to be helping your customers more because it's going on. So if it could be done for them, surely it could be done for people who might be at risk of homelessness. Like, I guess you've got your eye on the economic health of the country, and the two are probably quite closely linked.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We have the privilege of serving around 20 million customers up and down the country, and we support about 1 in 3 families. I would say if you step back and look at the UK picture, it has been broadly resilient. And we have definitely seen, and there's no doubt, many individuals, family and business show great resilience after several tough years. But it's very uneven. And then whilst everybody may have experienced the impact of inflation or rising costs, it is impacting people to very, very different degrees. And so what we're seeing and what we're hearing directly from customers is that lower income families in particular have been really disproportionately impacting. And despite several years and very tough budget choices, some of them just can't make the number add up anymore. And obviously that is very hard to see. You know, I go and I listen to the customers and no one wants that to happen. And through the conversations we have every day, we offer a service where any one customer free of charge can walk in the branch and sit down with one of our great colleagues and just have a chat about their finances. Often it opens up the conversation and then we can see how we help. And if we can't help, we can often point them in some directions. And as the end that you said, I think getting people to open up early, to seek advice early means that if you've got the right people, listening carefully, asking the right questions, you can definitely prevent it because, as you said, homelessness normally doesn't happen overnight.
Thank you. So, coming to you, British Group is very passionately about the need for support for people. Linda very eloquently explained that technology exists. Surround tells us that we've more people more at risk than ever before in the UK because of the circumstances in the country. I know that at Salesforce you've been working already with the Homelessness Data Lab. So taking all those things into account and the work that you've done so far, can you tell us a bit more about the Data Lab? Because I think this is a really exciting work.
It really is, and I would like to say also that we're very grateful to you, sir, for initiating. It's such an important project and we wanted to support it, so thank you for enabling us to participate. I think what we've heard is there's no one single cause of homelessness, and it can happen for a multitude of reasons, and that means that we really do need to better support frontline staff and services to be able to detect risk and intervene much earlier. You just heard some great examples there from Linda. So the Data Lab is really designed to explore how to make that possible. And Salesforce helped to create this Data Lab along with 25 other organisations, profits, non-profits, people with lived experiences so that we can really understand this data and ultimately to improve collaboration and access to data between services to detect vulnerabilities much earlier and intervene in the appropriate way. And so the lab will now run a series of very short, sharp, focused experiments, tests, exploration around this data, because we can, to your point, if we can make it predictable, we can prevent it. So it's really to understand the causes. And there's such a rich set of data. There's years and years worth of anonymised data that come from people that have presented themselves as homeless that we can really explore and mine. And I think there's a really important point you highlighted, Linda, which is the trust point. So the Data Lab absolutely operates with the strength of the legal and ethical guidelines with access to this data, and the lab has the expertise to make sure that that data is used appropriately and responsibly, and that's hugely important to preserve the dignity and ultimately we're talking about human beings.
So for people who are standing outside and very this morning intrigued about what a homelessness conversation would look like at London Tech, they now understand that what we're saying is the data is the thing that can predict issues people might face, and if we can predict them, then we can prevent them. I suppose the next natural question is, how do we know that early intervention or being able to predict the pattern that someone's life might take can really make a tangible difference to the outcome for them?
I think it's definitely the earlier upstream you deal with the problem, the better. As we all know in life, prevention is better than the cure. And so with the data and the technology we can deploy, being able to keep people in their homes, their jobs, their communities, families at school, that is inherently much better than the problem of if we then deal with the problem once they become homeless, and at what point do they present themselves. As the panel was saying, there's no one problem that fixes homelessness, it's multifaceted, it's many different things. So people interact with services to
support and help get them back into society, back on track at different points. And that point could be 5, 10 years down the line. The damage that someone goes through to get to that point is immeasurable sometimes, and almost very, very difficult to bring them back in. So if we can stop that pain, that damage being done, then that surely is a much better way of doing that. And the mental health toll on that, the repeat homelessness that happens, everything is much, much harder once you go down that route and someone becomes homeless, because the tough points around that family or that individual just get bigger and bigger and bigger the further they get from the point of being homeless.
I love this conversation because it's about face-to-face conversations, it's about seeing people on a human level, it's about understanding that often what people lack is opportunity. But we can't not talk about AI. And when we talk about AI, we can't not have a conversation on what Salesforce are doing. So I know you partnered with Homelessness, which is the national membership charity for homelessness services in England. That's an AI project. There will be so many people in this room that are deeply plugged into the daily changes and developments of AI. So when you look at the work that others are doing and the advances in technology around AI, would you just talk for a few moments about what you see as the most exciting opportunities?
Well, you started with human connection, and I want to use that as the golden thread. So we were delighted and thrilled to work with Homelessness, or we are delighted to work with Homelessness, and make use of one of our accelerator funds, Agents for Impact. So we're able to share cutting-edge technology, we're able to share pro bono expertise, and we're able to share funds. So that's where we started. And ultimately, with Homelessness, our ambition is to reduce the administrative burden on frontline workers. We know that frontline support workers feel that they don't have enough time to do their jobs. And that they're focused on managing rather than preventing and taking responsibility back.
And every technology that was supposed to save them time just locks them to their desk and doing casements.
Oh, I bet I can name that company for last. So that's the ambition, and so we are applying AI tooling that we use in business today. So we deployed or are deploying AI agents that will enable the frontline worker to focus on the individuals and the families that need the support the most. Again, going back to that human connection, and it can capture the case notes and organise that effectively, automatically and efficiently in the background.
I guess as people walk out of this room, they've got a decision to make. They can either just tick off their bucket list that they saw a member of the royal family in the flesh and move on with the rest of their life.
I'm Jake Humphries.
Well, I didn't want to make a big deal out of that, but I do know why the room is full. So they can either leave and just go on with the rest of their lives and think that was interesting, or they can actually stop and think, do you know what? It's a genuine problem. We spoke about it in the beginning. We heard those searingly saddening numbers of the amount of people who are suffering with homelessness in this country. From the research we've done on high performance, we know there's a mental health crisis among young people in this country. The two are linked clearly. So we have the means in this room to make a difference. So your final message to people in here?
I think to remind everyone that some of the figures that we saw at the beginning of the video, so 430,000 people experiencing homelessness in the UK. That's 4 times the size of Wembley Stadium. And my point to that is about homelessness is not inevitable. It is entirely preventable. It is predictable. You guys in this room, the tech world, is a huge part of the puzzle that's not been there before. And that's not because, well, that's lots of reasons. We haven't had the tech at the level you're at now before, but also we have not plugged in the private sector and any kind of tech and data into this equation before. Homelessness is seen as a gritty, difficult topic that's very hard to get through. And not many people understand it holistically because it is very different in all parts of the country. There's pilot locations we're doing it in. What's causing homelessness in Aberdeen is not what's causing homelessness in Bournemouth. What's happening in Northern Ireland is not what's happening in Sheffield. I mean, they're very different, but there are threads through all of that as to why people become homeless. And if we can get to these people earlier, we stand a much better chance of allowing them to stay in their homes, their jobs, their communities, and their families being together than if we let them go beyond that. And prevention is better than the cure. You guys have got those answers, and you'll be able to see those touch points much earlier to be able to see when someone's at stress, someone's going through difficulty, and highlighting them at an earlier stage saves such difficulty, trauma, and pain for everyone involved. who are trying to not become homeless, but also those in the sector who have been desperately trying to manage this problem for many, many years. So please come and see the Homewards Data Lab. Please work with the 25 organisations that are already there. Many of you will not realise the potential you actually have to fix and help in this regard. So if nothing else, I hope what we've talked about today leaves you with a thought to go in and see what your organisation can do to help.
Very well said. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for His Royal Highness Prince William and our panel talking Homewards. Thank you very much.